Hey hosts, thank you once again for investing in the Passover Seder experience this year. My hope and my prayer is that by the end of it, you'll have a deeper appreciation for communion, you'll have a better understanding of the Hebrew Bible and the messianic prophecies that we find in it, and most importantly, I hope that you are able to know Jesus better through this. Now, this video is all about your options as a host and the different options that not only you can make, but also the different elements of the Seder table and how your night is going to run. So before you do anything else, we have a list on your guide. So if you have your PDF guide, go ahead and get it out, or you can go back through and look at it later. But we have about 9 questions here that we want you to really think through and answer before you do anything else. The first one is the most important because it's the possibility for you to offer a foot washing. Now, on page 5, number 15, this is the rachatzah. This is what is known as the second ritual hand washing. So you do have 3 options here. The first one is you can offer a foot washing, because this is where I talk about Jesus washing the disciples' feet and the importance of it. But what we want you to do is make sure that you let your guests know ahead of time. You do not want to blindside your guests with a foot washing. So if you do that, let them know ahead of time, and you're also going to want to provide extra basins and towels for people to do that. Number 2, you could allow people to wash their hands. So we wash our hands the first time in the rachatz, then we wash them again here in the rachatzah. So you could wash your hands again, or you could just skip it. I'll be honest with you, oftentimes I just skip this portion, usually because of time constrictions. But this is the hand washing before we eat the matzah. So just so you know, there are 3 options there for you. Number 2. If you would like to offer a meal, that is totally up to you. I know a lot of churches and groups that opt out of a meal altogether. The tradition is to eat 3/4 of the way through the Seder itself. Some churches and groups offer and opt to do a dinner before or after the Seder. So once again, totally up to you, but please just make sure your guests know ahead of time. Number 3, you may want to have some gluten-free matzah lying around just in case, but maybe even just ask your guests ahead of time if they have that allergy. Number 4, the charoset, which is the sweet brown mixture on your plate, it does contain nuts, so make sure your guests know that ahead of time. I will be announcing that in my countdown video. Now, there is an option if you want to do this. You could just cut up some apples with some honey and have that on the side just in case. Or if you just want to go that route altogether to keep it super simple, totally up to you. I have provided you with a recipe for the charoset on the links and recipes page. Number 5, so there is a piece of matzah that is called the afikomen. It is the middle matzah. As you can see, I've already broken it because this is not the first time I've filmed this. But we break this middle matzah. We hide it in this napkin cover here. And then we actually go and hide it. And later on, the children can go and search for it. And then they can ransom it for a prize. So a couple things here. First, you want to make sure that you have at least a cloth or a napkin to wrap the matzah in. This is all really nice stuff. I got it in Jerusalem when I was there, so that's what I have. But I don't expect you to have this like fancy schmancy afikomen cover or matzah cover either. I just want you to know that. I do provide options for you on the links page if you want to buy an afikomen and matzah cover. Totally up to you, but please, it is not necessary if it's too much of a cost to you. Second thing, you may want to, you should have a prize or a price set ahead of time if you have children who will be bringing that matzah back to you. So just figure out what you want to set up as a prize or a price and then go from there. Okay, number 6, the hard-boiled egg. Now, we don't actually touch this or use this. In the countdown video, I explain the purpose of the hard-boiled egg. I'll be honest with you. I almost never do a hard-boiled egg. I literally just take it out of the carton and put it on the plate because we don't touch it. Now, you can offer it to your guests. They can eat it. The tradition is to eat the hard-boiled egg, dip it into the salt water, and then eat it when we offer the dinner 3/4 of the way through. You may just want to do that. You may just want to put the egg from the carton on the plate. That's totally okay. There's no judgment because I do it all the time. It's totally okay. All right, number 7, the shank bone. As you can see, I don't have a shank bone on my plate here. I don't have it in the video because Passover, the Passover lamb is no longer sacrificed. It's not something that we touch. I do explain its importance in the video, but I note that you may or may not have a shank bone on your plate. The afikomen, the broken piece of matzah, has essentially taken over as the Passover lamb, which is very important for communion, and that's something that I hit on later in the video. All right, the urchats, you're going to have a ritual hand washing. As you noticed, we have 2 of them. And depending on your safety regulations, because we do know that COVID is a thing, you may want to have just some disinfectant wipes lying around if people want to use that. Totally okay. We know that we are living in some strange times. But what I typically like to do is have somebody, they'll dip their hands in and somebody else will dry their hands for them. And I just explained that this is important for servant leadership, right? This is what Jesus modeled for us. We should do the same. So even if we're not washing each other's feet, we could at least wash each other's hands. So that is why I offer that. Number 9, you have children and readers. Now, in my video, I have children and readers, and they do an excellent job. But if you have your own people that want to read that portion, by all means, there is in this high-level overview of the PDF guide, number 11 on page 4, I give you a time to pause and then where you can fast forward to. The more engaged the people are, the more impactful it's going to be. So if you have your own people that want to read that, by all means, let them do that and make it as fun and as exciting and engaging as possible by doing it that way. All right, let's just talk about a few other things here on the table. First, during the 10 plagues, we will be dipping our finger into the wine, and then we will be putting it on our plates. So on your visual aid, you'll see that I have you just offer like a little styrofoam plate. It doesn't have to be anything fancy because you want to have a place for the matzah to put, but also for this portion as well, because you're going to dip and then put your finger off to the side. I use this for my grape juice, but any grape juice will do. Any wine you choose will do. Whatever you want to offer. My only suggestion is if you are having wine, make sure you have grape juice as well, just for anybody else. Okay. You don't need a fancy schmancy Seder plate. I use these at all of my Seders that I do at churches, and you can find them on the links and recipes page. You just go to Amazon. It's plastic, it's reusable, it works great, and you can see what all the different elements are on there. Parsley, salt water, very important. Horseradish, very important. The chazeret, this is something that we use if somebody wants to use that instead of the horseradish, because we all know horseradish can be tough to eat sometimes. So we don't really necessarily touch that. You'll see that in the video. But I would definitely still offer that just in case somebody would rather use that. Candle, very important. Make sure you have matches and a lighter lying around. Now let's talk about the host guide. So on this is a very high-level overview of what we do in each section. You'll see that there is people, who is going to be participating in this section, what's the purpose of it, what are the group readings, what are the scriptures that are referenced? What is the key takeaway? Like, what should you really grasp by the end of this section? And then also you're going to have an action. So what action are we taking as a group together? Also at the bottom of some of them, you'll see that there is a time to pause. So especially like the urchats, the yachats, different things like that. You may want to pause the video so that you can take time for your guests to actually go through it and not feel rushed. Also, however you run the video, you're going to want to make sure that you have the option to pause it. So that's another thing to know as well. As you get to the end, you can see that there is a visual aid for you, so you can see everything in detail, what you need, so that your table looks like a typical traditional Seder table would. And then at the very end, we have links and recipes for you, which is pretty much everything we've talked about. Once again, the matzah cover, the afikomen covers, things like that. If you want to get them, absolutely, that's great, but it's not necessary. Okay, we know that the Seder can be quite a cost, and we don't ever want people to feel judged because they don't have it. So once again, if you even just want to use a regular plate to put all of these elements on, that's totally okay. This candle, we got this candle at a dollar store. We needed like 20 of them for the event that we were hosting, and these worked out fine. If you go to Walmart, you go to a grocery store and they have a kosher section, they'll have little candles that you can get. The big thing about this is that, yes, there are times where it's going to be somber, but we want people to know that this is a celebration. Make it light, make it fun, make it exciting and engaging. We want people to get the sense that they are taken by God as his people, that they are loved by God. And that is the whole purpose of this, right? To remember God's faithfulness to his people. So that is what we want people to come away with at the end of the night. If you have any questions, as I said on the website, you get a one-on-one session with me, which goes through everything. You and I will talk. We'll do a Zoom call, whatever works best for you. And if you have any other questions, I am available to answer them for you, because I want this to be an awesome experience for you. So thank you once again, and I look forward to hearing how your Seder experience went.